when it gets done cooking, that's when we're going to talk about it and show you that next step, what we're doing with that. That's not good.
So tell us a little bit about your mules. You got two?
I have 2 mules, and then of course I have the 2 Belgian mares that we took the wagon ride with. The mules' names are Maddie and Ida. Pretty good sized mules. They're not as big as the Belgian horses are, but I like to do a lot of the farm work with them. They're really sweethearts. But a little later on we will we'll be doing some work with them, haul some manure, work some fields.
What's the difference in using the mules and the horses? What's one better than the other at?
Well, once you get the mules trained, they definitely obey you a lot better. And then the mules just have so much more stamina. They can just work so much, endure so much more than the horses can, and just fantastic. I love them, and they tremendous respect for me. Not that the horses don't, but it just seems like the mules are maybe a little added. Now, it takes a long time to train a mule good, because they are, you know, me and you, we've both been called stubborn as a mule. Now, my wife has this opinion that it's not that they really are that stubborn. She thinks that they are so much more intelligent than a horse, and that they get called stubborn and they really aren't. So, you know, I always tell people, next time me and you, everybody's been called stubborn as a mule, so next time you get called stubborn as a mule, take it as a compliment. You're not really stubborn, you're more intelligent. So I have that observation about mules. I really enjoy my mules. I really like to work them.
Are they some that you raised or bought?
I did. So the mares that we went on the wagon ride with, Fauna is one of them's mother, and the aunt, and Fauna is the other one's aunt. So yeah, they're
from the mules.
Yes, from the mules.
So you make the mules. Tell us how that happens.
So it takes a horse and a male donkey called a jackass to make a mule. So you breed a little old donkey, just a little guy, to a horse, and that makes a mule. All equine, mother is more dominant in a mule's demeanor and their size. If you breed the other way, to where the male is a horse and the female is a donkey, it's called a hinny. And they don't get much larger than their mother donkey, and rarely done. And when we talk about stubbornness, there is an unbelievable amount of stubbornness in a hinny. Because they take after their mother donkey in their nature, because I don't know why, an equine mother is more dominant. And
so how old would your mules be?
Okay, so they are little mismatched in age. I did have a team of mules named Maddie and Ethel, and in 2020, Ethel developed cancer in her left nostril. After a couple of trips to UT, they told us that it was going to be in vain, that they would not be able to do anything for her. They could, but that she 95% sure would not live anyway. And so we let her live on the farm out in the pasture till late that summer. And the knot on the side of her head got so large that she had a hard time breathing, and the vet decided it was time to euthanize her. So we buried her in the backyard in 2020. Now then, the same year, Fauna had our mule named Ida. She's 4 years old now. Got her pretty well broke. Used her in the cane mill a lot, and quite a bit in the fields. And The other one, Maddie, then, who was a full sister to Ethel, Ethel was 15 at the time, and Maddie was 14. Now then, Maddie is coming 17 this year, and so they're a little mismatched in age, but they look almost identical. Most strangers would not be able to tell them apart. Of course, I know them well, so I just know how they act. I know who they are.
How long does a mule work? I mean, how long do they live?
Well, it's always been said that a mule will way outlive a horse. 30, 35 years. A horse generally 20 to 25, even up to 40 years. But unfortunately, we lost Ethel there at 15 years old. No idea why she got that cancer in her left nostril.
So I know you traveled to Florida with your mules. Do they travel well?
They travel amazingly well. I put them in the trailer, and I put feed and water in there for them, and then stop a couple of times and clean the manure and give them more water and more feed, and we get there and get back home, and they don't seem to know they've went that distance. And when we were there in Florida, they're absolutely sweethearts. Yep, work them on the cane mill there. And, yep.
That's it.
Are you guys done? All right. Put the last one in, and Brian is about ready to make a fire. So
Got one more right here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Don't want to miss any of this wonderful link sausage. So have you got just a little bit of sausage left?
Yeah. You want
Okay. Well, it's just they can put it up, or somebody can take it home and fry it right away, Or But we've been traveling around with those mules, for several years, close to the Smoky Mountains a lot, and I do that with their mothers, and they did that as little baby colts while they were nursing on their mothers, and so to step in a trailer and go for a ride, it's natural to them. They don't seem to mind that at all. Yep. We seem to have a good bond together. Hello, Michelle.
Did you give me something hot?
Yes, I did. They brought me one, and I ate one of those cherry.
There's more inside.
Fantastic. Oh, they're so big. Oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. there's some
Yep.
left.
Okay. Well, thanks for making those.
Yeah. I'm gonna make some dessert.
Are you putting it all in there? No, it won't go in there.
Sludge.
All that is sludge?
Well, yeah.
Well, now, Holly, that will settle down, and you can get some lard off the top of this without the sludge.
I figured it might do that, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it will.
Sophie, are you ready to go home, or you want to stay a little longer?
That's the crackling sludge where we cooked the cracklings this morning, and that settled out of the lard down to the bottom. Their container is just getting a bit full there.
Are you trying to figure out what's going on? Then we'll. You got it?
What will you do with that?
So when I was growing up, food was scarce, and peanut butter was something that Mom and Dad had to buy, but didn't always have enough money to buy it. And when they bought some of it, they would mix this with half with peanut butter and half this sludge, and that's what we would eat on bread with sorghum. We're still living from it. By now, I guess everybody's thinking that we surely do consume a lot of lard, and I guess we do. So I'm gonna stir this a little bit more here, but this is where we put all the bones. Right there, you see the bottom jaw of a hog, and it's pretty well done. You can see in that kettle, there's a head. The meat is pretty well falling off of it, and we're gonna get that out of this now and pick the meat off of the bones and start the process of making liverwurst. Right there is one of my favorite pieces, the roof of a hog's mouth. It's so hot, I'm going to put it over here on the table and let that cool just a little bit. But that's the roof of a pig's mouth. Pretty good food. I'm gonna get me a little salt as that's cooling off and dip that in the salt.
Gotta have just a little bit left here.
A little bit of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to put it in. You have something little, a cup or something, and I'll gladly take it home with me. And I will relive some good memories and mix it with peanut butter. So right here, this is the rough piece in. If you put your finger in your own mouth, you feel this roughness in the top of your mouth. Well, that's inside a pig's mouth. So I'm just going to dip my finger in there, put a little bit of salt on it. Oh, just flat delicious. Would you like to try a piece, John?
I'm good. I just had lunch. Thank you, though.
Oh, okay. All right. I have two, but this is so good that this tops lunch.
Yeah.
It's really tasty.
It's gotta be kind of fatty, is it?
I'm sure it is. Gristly, fatty, I don't know. Yep. But it's something I learned. My mother would pick that out just like I did and talk about how good that was, and I got started at a young age and I still like it. Very good. Okay, we got to get serious now. Let the water drain off of it and put it on the table. And then here in a little bit, we're going to put all hands on deck and we're going to dig through all that to pick out any kind of fine bones. Because those fine bones can break the grinder. Here's one of the pig heads that we put in this morning, all cooked, and that meat will just rake off of that now. It'll just fall off the bone.
Hey, those skins, when we butchered our hog, we took them and cut them up in small pieces and put them in the freezer for our dogs, and they love them.
Holly, whenever Heather gets through with that dipper, I'm going to need that here.
Okay.
So all this is too hot to put your hands on right now, but it'll cool off in a little bit and we'll scratch and dig that meat off of it. And right here, I didn't point it out earlier this morning when we put it in here, but here is a hog's ear. We cooked that along with it. All that will grind up and go into the liverwurst.
He ate the roof of its mouth a minute ago. I got that on video. Have you ever tried that, Holly?
I wouldn't eat liverwurst, never. Oh. Never.
Then there's the bottom jaw from a head. The snout, oh, that snout is some fine eating. I'm going to put that little piece off to the side and let that cool. I'm going to eat some of that too. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to throw the bones down
The
underneath.
doctor says he is healthy as a horse. Like, no
This past year I had everything checked and everything tested. Could find absolutely nothing. My cholesterol was perfect. No high blood pressure, nothing.
And he eats all that fat.
And there's a tongue that we put in there. It got cooked. Holly, can you go after Heather with that? I'm going to need that scoop. And here's a jaw, the bottom jaw. It's still got all the teeth on it. We cleaned all that before we put it in there. So it'll take a little while for that to cool down enough so we can actually put our hands on it to pick the meat off of it. It's just very, very hot right now, so that's the reason I'm spreading it out on the table. Just sort of. Now I'm finally coming down to some of the bones. And there's a part of the liver. There's part of the liver. We're going to be breaking that up and be eating some of that too. But again, back to the way I said, you know, even my own children here, you know, oh, how gross, you know, how can you eat all that stuff? But look at all the waste from butchering a hog if you don't do it this way. It all gets thrown away. And it doesn't look like that bad of food to me. It's pretty good. Yeah, there's a few hair bristles in there, but yeah, it keeps your insides cleaned a bit. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I wouldn't intentionally eat anything, but yeah. Okay, Holly, if you can hand me that dipper. I just need the dipper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dip some of this water out right here and pour the water, strain the water into that tub. We're going to use that water to make scrapple here in a little bit.
He's wanting to see if you'd like to try a piece of that snout. He's going to eat it here in a minute, he said.
Oh yeah.
You try some. No. Shoot.
Well, here's the honest truth about it. If it was dark and y'all had this food put in front of you, you wouldn't know what it was. You'd say, "Oh, it tastes good." I want to tell you one on son-in-law Tim right here. When Tim that was helping with stuffing the sausage here, when he was dating Heather, she brought him over to our house. That night I thought, well, we're going to try him out good, and I had Sherry to cook me some heart, to have for supper that night, beef heart. And everybody sat down at the table and we started eating, and I said, here's some beef. I wouldn't say it was heart. I just said, here's some beef. I think also had beef tongue, beef heart and beef tongue. And Tim, he's cutting away at this and put a little barbecue sauce on it, and he says, this has got to be the best beef I've ever had. What cut is this? He says. I said, well, now that you've said that and you ask, it's beef heart and beef tongue. He laid his silverware down, and since that day he's never took another bite of it. Just got through telling me that it's got to be the best beef he's ever eaten, but I tell him that it's beef heart and beef tongue and won't eat no more. It's a psychological thing. But I promise you, everybody eats more of this than you know. Anybody ever heard of pink slime? Pink slime. It was all over the media a few years ago. They do this same thing. Ball it down, take it off the bone, and mix it with our hamburger that you buy out of the store. It's called pink slime. But we don't mix it with a hamburger. We make a separate dish out of it called liverwurst. You all eat it when you eat hot dogs and hamburger. You just don't know it. Hearts, all that stuff. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's really not as bad as y'all think.
Minced up maybe, but not like that.
We're going to mince this up. We're going to run it through the grinder and make it like sausage.
The teeth and everything?
No.
Oh.
And that's part of this reason here. Another thing I learned from my parents, very important to watch this, to cook it till it's done, until the meat comes off, but don't overcook it. If you overcook it, the teeth start falling out. You don't want...
It's kind of like boiling a chicken.
I guess, yeah.
Where's the liverwurst supposed to be?
Oh, that's in my mind.
Well, I need to know what we need to
It's
do.
just salt and black pepper.
But a lot of black pepper, right?
Yeah, quite a bit, yep.
Yeah.
And right there's the heart from yesterday's butchering. We're going to cool that down. We're going to eat on that here in a little while.
You already used the salt that was here,
I've got it over here. We got one little bag left.
but you need more.
Yes, we're going to need more salt. Yesterday I saw a little container of salt on top of the freezer here.
It's real salt though. It's kind of grainy.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't dissolve very well.
And there is the other ear from yesterday's hog killing. But you know, there's a restaurant in southern Alabama that will serve you a hog ear sandwich. Good sandwiches. Yeah. Highly recognized, a restaurant highly recognized by the Southern Foodways Alliance. I guess you all notice that I'm down here working by myself. Now earlier I had all kinds of help, but that's how far that my next generation is getting from this. None of them appreciate this like I do. But I grew up with this, ate lots of it. Still love to eat it every day. And we'll go on into the next process of this, how that we make that liverwurst. But it's basically the same thing. When you've heard somebody talk about souse meat, there's a shoulder blade. We deboned the front shoulder this morning. But that's basically what this is souse meat. The big difference with it is, souse meat is, this meat would all be picked off of the bones, add salt and pepper to it, and put it in a press. Never grind it, just put it in a press, and with a weight on it, sort of like cheese making. And then when it sets up, because of cooking the feet, the ears, the head, and all that, all the gelatin in it, it becomes a solid, a firm gelatin brick. And you can slice that, little sorghum, little mustard, or ketchup, or some good homemade gravy with some biscuits. You talk about laying years back and having a good breakfast now. Yeah. And healthy for you. Not that I'm any kind of a health expert, but it hasn't hurt me none yet.
Do you help do this, the deboning part, or what do you call this next process, Mark?
Well, picking the meat off the bones and picking bits and pieces of bones out of it. It's an intense, physically hands in that and feel it for any kind of little bones, because the little bones can be just totally detrimental to that grinder. It can break a blade, so very particular on that, because after we get it all picked, separated from the bones, then we'll do that. And yep. But I'm almost empty here, and as soon as I get empty, I'm going to pour this tub of water back into this kettle. And if we get enough help over here, we're going to tear right into the scrapple making. And then we're going to do the liverwurst after we make the scrapple. Heather, would you go ask the folks, Holly, Nathan, Tim, to come, that we are ready to make scrapple? And I'm limited on time. We've got to get this done pretty fast.
Okay.
So do you think the commercial processors do the same thing right here, or do they just dispose
Well,
of it?
I know they make pink slime, and I'm not sure how they separate it all from the bones. I know they do, but I'm not sure how. So now then, we have poured the pure water, only water, where we have cooked the bones in. We're going to add whole wheat flour and cornmeal to that and make scrapple. Salt and pepper and make scrapple.
Have you heard of scrapple, Jody? Have you ate it?
It is a
I don't think so, not that I know of.
it is a wheat and cornmeal product that is flavored with meat because of the bones that were cooked in it.
But that water probably is like a superfood. It's probably really healthy.
Probably is. And of course it has all the gelatin in it. That's what will cause the scrapple to set up, yes. I'm looking for a knife. I'm gonna eat some of that snout
So I need to get pans
and some
ready.
liver. No, we have pans right here for the scrapple and the liverwurst.
He's gonna eat
I
some
brought
snout,
big
so you
pans.
stick
No,
around.
no,
You need to
Well, I'll watch.
stick- Yeah, I didn't think you'd eat, but you know.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to sample the liver. I think several of them would sample the liver. And this was the liver. Freshly cooked liver. And just a little bit of salt. Oh, so delicious. Tim?
Nope, I'm good.
John?
No, I'm
Holly? Heather? See, that is my next generation. That's how far this gets away so fast. And all this is cooked liver, pig liver. It's great. But here is a more delicious part. This is one of the pig's breathing noses right there. It has this gristle inside of it that actually would not even grind up, and I'm carefully separating that. Sort of a fatty, meaty piece. And so tender, just pulls right apart. The pig skin on it, a few hairs. That's even better than the liver. I'm here to tell you. It is fantastic. So good.
So
I remember well, my mother, your grandma, Dad would bring her a snout cut off at the end of the pig's head, off this part right here. Dad would saw that off. She would put that in a pot of water and boil it, and we would pick that apart and eat it for lunch. The whole snout, that was our meat for lunch or supper.
We never had to do that.
I'm sorry that you all did not get to do that. Let me see, what else did I have here?
You're forgiven.
Heart. Right here's the heart. Right here's the heart. No, it's not. That's liver. I thought I had a piece of the heart here. Oh, the ear. That's what I wanted. Yeah. So this was the hog ear from yesterday's hog killing. Just basically about the same thing as the snout. It's very similar. Delicious.
Loaded in carbs, right?
Right. It's good for you. It's like putting high octane fuel in you. Mm-hmm.
so I have a question.
Okay.
Tim, I understand you ate dinner with them the first time and you ate something you didn't know what you was eating?
It was cow tongue and
Tail.
Was it tail or heart?
no, I didn't mind the tail. The tail wasn't bad.
Okay.
I think it was heart and tongue. It was all good till you told me what it was.
So after you figured out what it was, you didn't want no more?
Yeah, I was pretty well done after that point.
He was sitting right there beside me, and he said, this has got to be some of the best, most tender beef that I've ever ate in my life. He said, what is it anyway? And I said, it's cow tail and cow tongue and cow heart. And he looked at that, and he looked at me, and he laid his silverware down. And as far as I know, he's never eaten none since.
So how did things go after that date with you two? You apparently got married, so what did he?
Yeah. I never fixed tongue or tail or heart for supper. I know that.
Yeah, we just stuck with the basics and went on from there.
We like pork chops.
Okay, Nathan, can you come on in? Just pick the best you can, the meat off of it. I intentionally did not let it get overly cooked, and the reason for it is I do not like for teeth to fall out and things like that.
What is this?
That's the wishbone.
That was the bottom jaw of the hog. But that's clean enough. We're throwing, the meat's all fell off of that.
Oh, that's good.
Throw that away, that won't grind up. The grinder will not grind that up. And you just throw the bones under the table and the meat on here. And then eventually we will have to know where we're going, where we've been, and we have to go through it just like this and feel for any kind of little bone or hardness in there, because they will break the grinder. And that right there, a little bit hard. If you want to, you can sort of scrape it a little bit with a knife, like that. Yep. Okay, I'm going to pitch in and help Nathan with the scrapple making, because we need to get that going.
Oh, that goes in there.
It's all in
She
there.
said it's really rubbery. Oh, and for it won't grind up very good.
That one.
Have you girls done this before?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember helping cut meat here at this table when I was young. I mean, old enough to use a knife, I guess.
We usually do so many hogs at a time, you know, like 4 or 5.
8 or 10.
Okay, 8 or 10. There's so much help down here that, you know, you're not. Yeah, but when I was young, there wasn't near as much help. Right now,
It was not done together as much as what we're doing it now, like that week between Christmas and New Year's.
there wasn't as much help when I was young, as far as from the grandchildren, because I'm the oldest grandchild. So me and Brian probably helping, huh?
Yeah, that would be good. And if being as we got plenty of help, somebody could be cleaning up the skins too and all that, you know.
They don't matter.
No, those are not. Would you estimate that's 10 gallons of water in there?
Close enough.
Close enough? Okay. And that's 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of sage. We'll have to talk to Holly about the sage. And 2 tablespoons of salt.
Is it rub sage or ground, or does it matter?
We're out of ground. I've seen the bucket sitting there. There might be some in the house. How much do you need?
Where's the sage at?
The very bottom, 1/4 tablespoon sage per gallon of water. I think the last time they didn't have the sage and we ended up doing this without the sage, which we can, but you know.
Okay, we've got tons of sage at the house.
See if there's some in the house, if not in the store, they're little.
So this is the water here that we're going to make the scrapple with, and the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of salt of black pepper per gallon of water. And Nathan and I estimate that there's 10 gallons in there, and so I'm going to put 10 tablespoons in here. So I'm going to have to quit talking so I can count. I might get confused. So I believe this is number 4 here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'll call that 9, and we'll get just a little bit more. I was just going to ask, do you think people will gross out over this?
Yes.
Some people might.
There's 10.
Tell them to leave a comment on what they think, Mark.
Yeah. Everybody leave a comment of what you think. You know, is this going to kill me? Is it going to be good for us? Would you do it? If you had the opportunity, would you do it? Would you do this to feed your own family? Things like that. I'm very curious to know. But, you know, back in the old days, there was so much of this done. And really, again, and I keep hounding on this, it was hardships of the past. I mean, I'm not old enough to remember the Great Depression, but it was not far before me. But that Great Depression, people were so poor. And that's how they came up with these recipes. They didn't waste anything. Just sort of peel that out. Yeah, I'll tell you what, just put that whole thing in. That's good. That's okay.
Is it really thick?
We're gonna grind it anyway.
Yeah, that will grind up. The ear is not that bad.
What's a quarter times 10? 2.5?
Yes. And so that's how these recipes came about. You know, families learned to feed themselves when they didn't have money to go to the store and buy it. Stores probably didn't have it, you know. Yeah, I keep hounding on that, but
Let's do half of that.
Brian, come
Nathan's.
down here and help us, please. We need help.
I think there's the sage.
Okay,
Who's
and
getting all this
He
liverwurst?
wants no part of it. Yeah, right.
I think Mark's the only one.
Ryan's wanting to start the fire, is what he's wanting to do.
He started it.
hey, I need to go out and check on that.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Is that good?
Yeah, it just needs to get burning better and then choke.
Okay.
I've left a little gap in the door so it
'Cause-
don't choke on
good.
it. He had the heat right underneath it. I
Okay.
said, well, I pulled
I'm
it
glad
back.
you checked on it. Yeah, make
I
sure
pulled it back to the door.
we don't want to burn it because you can, like that sausage we hung there in the smokehouse, it can so easily be overheated. We don't want to cook it now. We just want to cool smoke it right now.
The other thing that happens if the heat gets on those links too much while it's hanging there, they can rip off and land in the fire.
Right. Because it weakens the
Weakens it.
it weakens the intestines.
So 2 tablespoons of salt, so you need 10 of those?
And 20 of those. Because we got 10 gallons,
Yeah,
right?
20 of them.
Okay. Why don't you do that? I'm gonna go check on the fire.
Turned out to be a pretty nice day out here today.
Beautiful.
Thought it was
Yeah.
gonna be cold today, but it's not that bad.
I think it's going to cool off pretty good again tonight. How's it doing, Brian? Hot?
Hot, yeah.
Okay. Did you closed it off?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the thing that happens here. The smokehouse, yeah, that's a little too hot and way too much wood, Brian. We're gonna way overcook that, I think.
Well, Eddie put that last bit on there.
Did he?
Yeah. Blame him.
I don't think we need that much heat in there because we're gonna end up not having a cool smoke. We'll try that right there and close the door and see if we can smother that fire out. Check it in a little bit. If it does not, if the flame does not go out, we got to pull that out of there because we're going to end up cooking that meat. We do not want to cook the meat, just a nice cool smoke.
Where'd you get the wood from, Mark?
So this is hickory wood that I went and got out of my woods. I had a dead tree that was falling over and I went and cut it, and we like to use hickory. It gives us the meat a really nice flavor, and yeah, got it out of our own woods. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go back down here. Try to keep everything a rolling and finish with this.